We are good to go. And Reed, what is up? How are you?
I'm good, Nate. I'm just getting through quarantine. You know how it is.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like we've been in this quarantine for quite some time. I mean, how have you been pulling through these tough times?
Well, just the cliches, and it's just try to listen, watch some news slash listen if you prefer that way,
Yeah.
and just do it in moderation, like with certain adult beverages, and just have some try to make the best of it. Find stuff that'll consume time.
Yeah. What have you been utilizing your time with, keeping yourself busy with?
Outside of school, I
Which just finished up, by the way.
yeah, for you and it just wrapped up, thankfully. I mostly run a eBay business
Oh, okay.
with my with my mother most of the time, and I've been just chilling out, just playing some video games.
There you go. What games have you been playing?
Uh, I'm still on old gen just because for the fun of it.
Let me hear it. Let me hear it. What console are you playing on?
360.
Okay, all right. I'm not gonna shame you for that. You're utilizing what you have, and I think I can appreciate that. If you're playing on the 360, then I can at least admit that I've actually had a couple of Friday nights with my Nintendo Wii. Uh, Sometimes we gotta go back and go back and
Yeah, yeah.
we are in the COVID times, so we have to appreciate what we have, and I mean, not everyone's gonna get that PS5 coming up in the future, but
Yeah, I mean that, or the. Did you see the new Xbox coming out on either Microsoft's Twitter or on the Xbox official Twitter? It's literally like a big old cube.
what the heck? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's just like
yeah,
yeah, I've seen it. I think it was released before the PS5, and I think it's the X series or something like that.
yeah. Meanwhile, the PS5 that looks very interesting. I'll just give it that. It looks like a router
Yeah,
that
yeah.
used to connect.
Yeah, I see all the
But
memes
yeah,
going around of it looking like a router. But hey, I mean, I like my favorite meme of them all is the Sauron, like the Eye of Sauron. It's like from the Lord of the Rings. So that's a good one. I watched the reveal, and I've got to say, I'm excited. I'm excited for the PS5, but it's coming to an end. My video game career is coming to an end. I'm actually not going to invest in a PS5 when it comes out. I've been on the PlayStation ride since PlayStation 2. I grew up playing PlayStation 1 with my cousin in Sacramento, and then I got my own PlayStation 2 growing up, and PlayStation 3, and then PlayStation 4. I've been playing Call of Duty to keep myself busy in COVID. I've been playing the Nintendo Switch. I love playing Animal Crossing. That's a thing.
yeah. My cousins who live in Vermont have a Switch, and they rave about it. And I had to live at home during this pandemic,
Yeah.
and my brother's advocating for one, and I'm just like, okay, you do you, man.
Yeah. It's fun. I mean, I'm glad that they have from what I'm hearing is that they are sold out on the actual like main console with the Switch, like the
Yeah,
controllers that come off. Like they're not even producing anymore. Like that's unfortunate, but like I'm lucky to have gotten a Switch Lite. Like eventually people are gonna go with the Switch Lites just because you've got to get what you can just to play that Animal Crossing.
yeah. Like it's more of like a supply and demand thing in terms of like because people are raving on Animal Crossing, and I don't. It's cool. It looks cool. I just watch a couple YouTube videos about it, but
Yeah.
it's it's very. It, I see why many people like it, and it's Nintendo, so it will span multiple generations. That's what Nintendo is like brand is, and I think they do emphasize their brand with the Switch.
Yeah. What I love about Animal Crossing is that like, and it came at the perfect time too, like during like the beginning of COVID, like it got released, and like it's kind of like a nice little escape. Like it helped me like kind of like get away from like like the thought of watching the news where first you're watching the news and you're digesting the fact that people are dying all over the world, and then you know like obviously there's a big matter at hands during the protests of the Black Lives Matter, where it's like there's so much tension right now in the world. Like sometimes you kind of need a nice little distraction, to keep yourself distracted. And I on this point of distraction, we usually have sports to turn to, and slowly we're getting a little bit of sports, like the La Liga, like Messi,
Yeah,
Barcelona, they started playing the English Premier League.
the Bundesliga in Germany.
Yeah, like Dortmund played yesterday and surprisingly lost. I didn't get to watch the game, but it's interesting to watch a few of these games. I watched the first Dortmund game, and to see like no one in the stands was like funny. It's odd, like, but you're still hearing like the sound effects of like the fans like cheering,
Yeah, it's
and
pumping crowd noise or something. I
yeah,
tried watching clips of the KBO, the Korean baseball,
yeah,
and that is weird.
yeah.
Not only because it's
Stuffed animals, the stuffed
not
animals.
stuffed animals. It's just
Okay.
your eyes are not trained to see just a back of a chair when you're
Yeah,
watching on TV.
yeah,
And it's also weird to see some former Major League Baseball players that you recognize who had a cup of coffee in North America, now in Korea, like just jacking homers.
yeah,
But it's very interesting. Just it's kind of refreshing too, and that's and then I want to switch over to basketball just for a
yeah,
quick minute.
yeah, yeah.
That's what The Last Dance kind of did, what that
Oh,
documentary.
yeah, yep. You're right. The Last
It's
Dance was great. I only tuned in for like episodes 6 and 7, and then the following week for a bit. But you know what? Like with something like that where it airs on TV, and I know it's gonna like come around like on Netflix, like a couple months later. I think that's where I'm really going to digest it all and like binge it later, because yeah, sure, I grew up watching Jordan a little bit, like a tad bit. Like I grew up like a Jordan fan, obviously Space Jam was a thing when I was a kid, and I had Michael Jordan uh posters on my wall. I had Jordans. I rocked. I love Jordan, but also Kobe was my guy. But it's interesting to see everything that has happened in the world of Michael Jordan, and it's still going on. Like he's doing a lot for the Black community right now, where he's donating like a bunch of his stocks and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's the questions continue from that documentary, and it's great debate, and it fueled sports radio for at
mhm.
least a couple months because everything was dying, and you would start to hear local hosts just do like video game tournaments. Like the Lakers station just did a big 2K tournament for the hell of it
Yeah,
because they were dying for content, and that's what what's one of the downsides of this pandemic is um, and then rolling it back into, let's say, like what we're watching. I wonder, like, like a lot of like the big networks have already like produced content for like this for March through June probably, but what about for the fall? Because unless things get better, they're not going to shoot. And I'm I got into the whole Breaking Bad universe during the pandemic, so I watched Better Call Saul up to season 4,
okay,
waiting for season 5 on Netflix.
yeah,
But it's already out in other countries because of sweetheart deals. But there is a they're expected to shoot their final season at the end of the year, hopefully in New Mexico, and we don't know when. Like because everything's just thrown off. You take logic out of the air now with this pandemic.
yeah. Can you imagine that though? Like something like this, like COVID, like changing the trajectory of TV shows, possibly ending like TV shows that have been on the air for like how long, like the cartoons, the animated series, they'll survive because
Yeah,
all you got to do is set up voiceover studios in people's houses and edit it all together. But Grey's Anatomy, is that dead? Is Better Call Saul, is that dead? Are like certain TV shows that were being filmed on? Because then if a couple years passes, and who knows how long we're drenched in a
I feel like
virus?
I feel like if certain like TV shows maybe need a recap, uh,
Yeah,
like 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 a rundown, 10 minutes, what happened last season, just to get into the next season. If there's going to be a long wait, and it's just fascinating. Let's put it that way.
yeah, yeah. To me, it's gonna feel like, have you seen Endgame before?
Avengers Endgame. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so like like the feeling afterwards, like where they're sitting at, like the Captain America is sitting at like the round talk, like where people are like talking about therapy. It's like 5 years after or 8 years after, I forget. It's gonna be like that, like like we're thinking about like COVID and how everything has changed, and we're all sitting at our TVs and like, see, this is post COVID. This is post COVID television right here. Obviously, they have aged a couple of years.
Yeah.
Man. Well,
Um,
movies will be on pause for a little bit, but I mean, it's from what I hear through like certain media sources, it's everything seems to be like that. They're on trajectory to resume, which I'm not comfortable with. How are you feeling about this, Reed? Like, how comfortable are you with? I mean, for me, like before you answer, for me, it's like I'm a type 1 diabetic, so like I'm nervous 24/7. I have ever since this has crashed down on us. My anxiety has been through the roof, and I've been just trying to keep myself busy. And obviously I have to go to work. I'm thankful that I get to work from home from time to time. But how do you feel about this? Do you think we're opening up way too early?
I mean, I think we were on the right trajectory in terms of the summer uh, area, and I I'm noticing in my area like restaurants opening up dine-in time, but with social distancing. That's
Yeah.
the key, and it's mask city, and you basically scolded if you're not wearing a mask. And it's like you can only see your eyebrows, and the eyebrows can tell so much about how you like emotion to you. This could be a very good like movie topic when actors portray it, but it's like you can see someone in a mask, like eyebrows, just like it's the fuck. Why are you not wearing a mask?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Getting back to like how easy are you to get into it? I'm willing to go and eat at a restaurant, and with caution, and go see Christopher Nolan's movie Tenet, which I'm excited to see.
You and me both, brother. You
I
and me
really
both.
want to see that.
No, yeah, like that's
And
one that I'm gonna. I feel like
I'm
that's where I'm gonna step out of my shell and kind of like just go for it, because I cannot watch that movie at my house on a TV here.
you need
I will not. I will not.
Nolan movies need to be at a
Yeah,
theater,
yeah, yeah,
and I feel I'm willing to take that risk. And then another thing I'm trying to posture is going to visit my family, who I said lives in Vermont,
mm-hmm.
and I have to get on a plane to go, and I've been reading like airline rules, and it's you have to mask up. And what they've done is taken out the middle seats for a big guy. That's great for me because
Yeah. Get
I'm
some
the size
space.
of I'm the size of a linebacker basically,
Yeah.
and and I don't know whether I'll feel comfortable with then, but I think I should take small steps. So eating at a restaurant is good. Then seeing a movie that you want to see. Then I think it's a progressional buildup, and we just don't know what will happen in the fall. And I'm
That's what I'm
expect.
scared for the most right there, because I know that there's a lot of people who are not following rules and regulations, and I pay attention to it every single day. Like I notice it, like going out to, like for example, I went to Buffalo Wild Wings to pick up some takeout for me and my dad and my little bro, and I get there, and they're already letting people eat inside, and people who are sitting at tables are not even wearing masks, and like I'm just like, I'm losing my mind over it. It's kind of like frustrating, because it's like I just wish that we would be a little bit more patient. Like, there's
I
just so
understand.
much uncertainty, to it all.
Yeah, I understand it. I was, I went to pick up food from with my mother and my bro at BJ's last night,
Yeah.
and I walk in, and I see people staring at them. So when I was waiting for the food, I asked the servers that were just conveniently at the check-in area, whatever it's called. What's the deal with the rules? Do you just wear a mask until you get to your seat?
Yeah.
And it's basically that.
Yeah.
You can take off your mask and
If you have to use the restroom, you need to put it back on.
yeah, it's and my brother is autistic and he hates things over his mouth. So
Oh man, I can't imagine.
it's
How uncomfortable that would be.
that would yeah, and I don't think he would be keen to have something just tethering on his ears.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, you know what? To point something out, I went to Ahi Poke Bowl. Do you know what Ahi Poke Bowl is?
I've heard of it. Yeah,
It's like one of those like Poke Bowl places. When I went there, they had like a special where if you bought something grilled or if you bought a large bowl, you can get a mask. And this is where I found like the best mask. Like the design on this mask, it doesn't tug around your ears because it does have loops that go around your ears, but it also has two strings that lets you tie it to the back. So it pulls it backwards and it doesn't add any strain to your ears. Best mask design. I'm not buying any more masks unless it's that design. Okay, Reed?
yeah, I understand. Um, it's and I it's what else you can do also. It's in terms of this. We're lightening up our food, like sitting at restaurants place, but like outside of hiking around and going walking and doing exercise, which is great. I
Yeah,
don't condemn it. What else are you supposed to do outdoors?
yeah,
There's there's no sports that you go to, and you can't. I don't think you should go to a concert if there's ever one.
yeah. That sounds like a terrible idea.
No, it's just you wonder what's the last thing that's going to come back, and is it a concert or a sporting event? And I think concerts are going to be the last ones to
Of course,
come
yeah.
back
Or
because
like,
that's a cesspool.
yeah, yeah. I thought comedy shows would be like ones to like take some time to come back from. But if you watched Dave Chappelle's special on YouTube, he just put out. It's set like I think like everyone that visited him like last week or 2 weeks ago when he recorded it, it was they were separated like 6 feet apart, wearing masks and stuff like that. So like he set that up properly to be able to record that. But oh man, I know you're missing. I know you're missing sports for sure. I know
Yeah,
you're missing sports.
yeah. I don't know when was it for you that like it was like okay we need to take this freaking seriously
Mm.
is when I think it was March 13th. It was when Rudy Gobert got it for the Jets. I'm
Oh,
like,
yep, yep. That's
and
that's that's one of the big days,
yeah,
or like Tom Hanks too, like
yeah, that's like not even within an hour of that cell.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Same thing.
was,
Yeah,
I. It's funny things how you remember things and like where you were and all that.
yeah.
Like where you were when Kobe died, unfortunately.
Oh
Where
yeah,
you were when COVID became a real thing. It's it's like I was in an islands and I got like motion to go look at the bar TV and it was just like NBA suspended the season.
yeah.
And I'm just like, great. And then I knew other team leagues would follow and I had hockey tickets for the next Kings game. And I'm like, oh, F bomb. I was just disappointed and pissed off.
No, I feel your frustration. Like I know how big of a Kings fan you are. And I'm actually a Kings fan as well. So like I can't imagine like where you bought tickets and like were you able to get them refunded?
Oh yeah. StubHub gave us like just like the whole thing refunded, like over 100% refunded, which I think was a little too much, but I think it's their cause. They want you to use them again in the not too distant
Of
future.
course, yeah,
So
yeah,
it's just business. But we had, and then I also had a trip to go to Phoenix just for the hell of it,
yeah.
and those got canceled. So we have a lot of money saved up in fan codes that we can use in the future. And
Yeah, a lot of plans have been changed, like I was supposed to go. Oh, when I got a new phone, it was May 9th. I think it was May 9th, Friday. It's crazy how you remember these things, I was bummed out for a while because like I was waiting for like my phone to be upgraded and I didn't know if like Verizon stores were open. And I go to the store, and I'm waiting in line to go into the store, and I look to the right, and a little Verizon store says open, and I'm like, what the heck? On the online they said it was closed. So I walk in there, and I'm like, hey, I was wondering if I can upgrade my phone. And she's like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it, and blah blah blah. We start working through everything, and she activates my new phone, and for some reason, out of nowhere, if you know the iPhones very well, like they have the Apple Wallet, and if you buy a ticket, like whether it's Ticketmaster or you have an app, it'll go to your wallet and show you your ticket. And that day, it was 7:15, and a ticket popped up for that day for the Glitch Mob, which is one of my favorite groups of all time. I've seen them multiple times. I have the records right here on the wall behind my webcam. uh I was going to go to a concert that night, and it made me so sad, Reed. It made me so sad that, like I was that like I would have been dancing my ass off that night, and I'm over here upgrading my damn phone.
Yeah. Um, I'm a so this is the same story with you. I'm a partner with 7-Eleven. I get like free Slurpees or Big Gulps every so often,
Uh-huh.
and I open up like since I don't have certain stores on their favorites. So the one by school is on like under the favorites list, so I can just pop in,
That
scan,
one's a
and
good one. That one's a good
yeah.
one. The
And
hell.
I have the one couple like half mile away from my house.
Mhm.
But I was in Santa Monica, I think, and there was one I was like, okay, I don't have it under favorite. So I went into the wallet app and did the thing, and I look in the back behind my airline miles, 2 tickets to a hockey game in Phoenix. And I was like, oh, it's like knife turn.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's just like pain that you really didn't want to relive, but
yep.
thankfully I deleted them off just to spare the emotional, just like, oh, like this, like the disappointment.
Yeah, yeah. No, the knife did turn, but you know what? That night I had a couple of Guinness, and you just kind of enjoy the night. But what was great about that, like obviously, like it's different from sports, but like we miss these live events. But the Glitch Mob actually made up for everything, because they were doing like these virtual events where first off they did a 10-year anniversary of their first album, Drink the Sea, which it was like a YouTube premiere, and I just enjoyed that like listening session. They did the EDC, not the EDC, Bass Rush live stream. So it was cool that like all these like live stream events like took over, like everyone's like tuning in. So I could see that happening with sports too. Like the numbers in sports are going to go up if leagues decide to go on with playing. But I don't know, Reed. As the days get close, like as the days go by, I don't see it any possibility of opening back up. Even though some like soccer leagues have opened up, it's kind of like, all right, now we got to be precautious here. Now we got to kind of test the run here, especially in my opinion. Like the scary thing about the COVID is, like I'm all for people protesting and peacefully protesting and going out there, so that way we can change the rules here for what's going on with the police. um it's good to be out there protesting, but at the same time you got to make sure that you're bundling up and taking care of your health too, because you don't know who's out there that has coronavirus.
Totally agreed. And thankfully LA County has like upped its testing, and I think that's the reason why you're seeing a spike and increase. It's because there was a huge testing facility in downtown LA, I believe. But getting back to sports, we know that soccer's coming back.
Yeah.
We know the NBA is doing their bubble in Orlando. We know that NFL is just gonna just full on bull their way into another year, but without fans.
Yeah.
The big news is right before we went on, baseball is this close to coming back.
Okay.
That's the big news. I don't know if that was a big shocker. It's just the games. It's between 60 and 70 games, and people are players and owners are fretting like usual. And the, the reason why I'm now kind of immune to it, because I think they shouldn't have done this publicly. And obviously you don't want to get like the too much fans emotionally into this, because we're in a pandemic, we're in a social unrest, we're in a technically a recession. Um, you,
Sadly.
yeah, you just don't want like emotional, like just fire out in social media. Hockey and soccer, which are two leagues according to many sports fans as more corrupt. Well, not actually soccer anymore. It's mostly hockey.
Well,
So,
you wouldn't be surprised in soccer. I think there's some corruption in the FIFA area.
yeah, the
So
fact that I'm talking here,
allegedly.
I'm talking in the U.S.
Oh, okay, got it.
Um, uh, the fact that hockey, which have had 3 lockouts in the last 25 years, and if baseball is doing this publicly and hockey's doing it privately, I commend hockey. Not because that's what I promote, that's not what I do on my podcast / YouTube, but it's better for the league offices to not air out dirty laundry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I'll still go to Dodger games when they allow fans into the stands, but
You know, it's funny that you say that. Like I kind of freeze up there because
but
I
that's like, it's not an if, it's like when it will happen. It's not, it's an
no,
if,
you're right.
but
You're right.
in
You're
the
right.
future.
You're right.
I,
You're right. Because like the other day I was thinking has anyone ever let me cut in the line like for using the restroom and like started thinking about that the other day, and then I'm like, you know what lines I did not like? The Dodger Stadium lines to use the restroom.
uh,
And then I can't imagine like post COVID, or at least going back, from the so-called new norm, like trying to use the restroom at Dodger Stadium and being
or
so.
heck, going into the parking lot.
Yeah, well, the parking lot's that bad. I mean, obviously
You're in
passing
cars,
by
granted,
cars. You're passing
but
by cars, but yeah,
it's still it's a hike.
yeah, it is. It is quite a hike.
But it's stuff we have to do, and I'm trying to see if there's anything updated, and it's just
Well,
reporters responding with other jargon that's just like, oh, there's still disagreement. And
what are your thoughts on? Okay, so LeBron. Like people are saying, like if LeBron is for the season, then we go for the season. But obviously, you have people like Kyrie Irving who are saying, like uh, who I kind of that's kind of the side I kind of sit on at this moment. But I'm kind of like weighing like the perspectives, and I'm kind of like back and forth. Like I see a reason why we should open sports back up at this time. Like sports heals, like it heals, it makes people happy. And then at this time, like where we're trying to get the word out for Black Lives Matter, obviously the English Premier League, or I forget which league, soccer league is, they're putting Black Lives Matter on the back of their jerseys. That's a positive I see of, promoting and using sports for, protesting and getting the word out. But at the same time, I think, since the world is at like a standstill at this moment, like obviously everyone's quarantining, staying in their houses. Everyone's like, we're going to think that, hey, yeah, like we need sports. But at the same time, during this Black Lives movement, you have to kind of like be thankful for like the openness right now, and the kind of the all eyes on one subject. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone's eyes are on Black Lives Matter right now, and that's kind of like the important thing. But it's weighing back and forth.
yeah, it's there's a lot of like boxes that you have to open,
Yeah, yeah,
and you can see it one of two ways. But I think the best way for players is go, if you're healthy and you're up to do it, for medical reasons,
yeah, yeah,
go play in Orlando, and then use your platform that you use, and expand it and bring attention to it
yeah, yeah,
at it. And I think I read a story that Kyrie Irving is bitter because wasn't he dealing with an injury,
yeah. He's been dealing with lots of injury, like a
and
back injury or something,
or
probably. I'm
like
not too sure.
I think he was just, no offense to him, I think he was a little butthurt that
Yeah,
he didn't get to go down to Orlando when they do.
yeah,
So it's I think, and also Kyrie has also been this guy like, ooh, the earth is flat. Or
yeah. Yeah, you're
And
right.
he's
You're
the
right.
VP of the players union, which I'm just shocked. And it's and but I believe the stars will prevail, and the stars will like tell other guys. It's not more the stars; it's more the role guys.
Yeah.
That's why you saw Beverly or Corver or Avery Bradley. I think Dwight Howard is coming on to playing,
Okay.
but I think
Yeah, I heard there was some uncertainty if he would. But
um,
yeah, I would assume, if there are like players like, and I don't know who Mark Andrews, tight end for the Baltimore Ravens, like if he decides not to play because he's a diabetic, then I'd be cool with that, because it's like uh, all I want in all of this is I don't want lives to be lost. I want all of us to, wait this out so that we can kill this virus off and we can just move on from this. But at the same time, everything the boxes are starting to stack, and obviously you have to open them, like you say. It's such a crazy world right now, Reed. But
it's yeah, what a wonderful world.
but
um,
but you know what? I think the one thing that is saving me, and school is over, so I'm not really focusing too much on schoolwork and producing like radio stuff now. Now I get to use what I've learned from school with voiceover and actually produce some stuff. So now I get to focus on podcasting, and I've been rebooting my podcast, and I'm thankful that you're here to talk to me on my podcast. But I noticed that you have your own podcast, so like I wanted to talk to you about that a little bit before we close off the show. What inspired you to start your own podcast?
well, I did see in your history that you had Lorena and you had our old friend Aaron
Yeah,
on your
yeah.
show, and they were in the same podcasting class with Mr. Phil, and
Oh, this semester with you,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah.
So they had their own thing. I had my thing,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
my podcast is called "That's So Kings," the podcast, a podcast about hockey,
Yep.
even sometimes without live hockey, and I just wanted to just explore fun things. Like that's why I I made videos of trade trees and just go into nitty gritty and see how it trickles down into affects everything and like and then I had like just opinion pieces like what went wrong or like and why do you think it's all sorts
Yeah.
of it was all sorts of fun and I'm taking a couple breaks so I uploaded two uh, things that were like from originally just straight YouTube, but I transitioned them into audio form just for the fun of it, just to keep the practice going.
No, yeah, man. You really you gotta keep the practice going, and like even though we're not in school and we're not like getting these assignments constantly to improve our craft, like that's what we have to be doing. And I think you have it here. I mean, like I'm looking at your YouTube channel, and you got like everything Kings talk, and I think since you have such a big passion for the Los Angeles Kings, like utilize this passion and continue to do these think pieces on Kopitar and your favorite Kings players and stuff like that. And obviously, we don't have uh, any hockey at the moment, but this is the time for you to come up with a creative outlet to saying like, all right, we got no Kings hockey, but we got this scenario right here. What if Kopitar never came to the Kings and we never won those championships? Like stuff like that.
Yeah, are you familiar with the TV show Community?
Yeah, I love that show.
So in an episode they have the episode where Abed says, "Ooh, this creates 6 different timelines."
Yep, 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 yep,
Remedial chaos theory.
yep.
So it's like I'm thinking of doing like a timeline thing. That's what trade trees are, like timeline of what actually happened. But I'm thinking of doing of timelines of like what if because there was you can talk about rumors all day if you
Yeah,
want, but it's just like it's very sleepy.
yeah,
But I'm thinking of doing videos of like what if this happened or or like create your all-time best team or I'm thinking about even just talking about regular other teams not I personally also um, like Colorado even though I have no roots there or or just anything. I like how that team's built right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Um,
You're a fanatic of hockey, and you can appreciate a team when it's well built and
yeah,
established as it is. Like that's what I think. Me and you, we get along because we get like this sports talk going on. From when I first met you in our first couple of like radio classes, I've seen the improvement. And like I'm looking at what you've posted this semester, I've seen the improvement in your speaking, and I've seen the power of where your passions of sports comes from. It helps you in your speaking, and it helps you, you know, get your point across when you're just talking sports. That's the biggest passion uh, aisle for you right there.
yeah, you can see a total change. I made, I started doing like, I did my first year a couple years ago, and I did daily videos after every game, which is fun. You can have 82 mandatory uploads
Yeah,
on YouTube, but it takes it out on you, and you have to do things. It's a rhythm that you have to get into, and I thought, and I was more. You could tell like from January to June, I was just out of it because I was just juggling school and YouTube, which was hard.
yeah.
Granted, that's why I went to the whole week form, the week in a nutshell,
Hmm.
because it's a lot easier just to post 5 minutes on it. And I've been mostly doing it on my phone because and you know how iPhones are touchy with their cloud space.
Yeah.
So that's why I received a video camera for either a birthday or Christmas. I forget.
There you go. Like,
Um,
see, and I kind of wrote this down that like it's one thing that I admire about you, Reed. Like obviously you've been looking to jump into the broadcasting media, and I appreciate that you're just you're jumping right into it. Like compared to like others who would kind of be like, oh, I don't have like this equipment, or I don't have the proper microphone. I mean, you don't need that stuff if you have the means to talk about what you want to talk about and you're passionate about it, and you just put yourself out there and like just get recording, whether you have a nice camera or not. Obviously, like a birthday will come along and you'll get blessed with a nice little camera, and eventually you just keep it rolling. But that's what I like about like what's kind of cultivating here with you, is that you're such a big Kings fan, and that I think that's going to be a nice little staple right there for you, Reed.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
um, it's been fun. It's whenever you open up a video from, I believe, my like really late into my first year of doing it, and then to now, I create these. If you do it on YouTube, I have these 15-second intro that you can see just me just wording
Yeah.
my title, and
No,
you can
yeah, I
you
love
can
that intro, by the way. I wrote that down in my notes. I love your intro because it's like little tidbits of little other videos and it just all piecing together what you're
yeah,
saying. It's the best.
that's
It's the best. It's the best
yeah.
thing.
Thanks. It's also to show how like I've changed both physically and like as a career. If you look at the podcast one, that's the one that you can see the most like change one,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and like you can see when it, like you can see where I add like, and it's now time for That's So Kings of Podcast,
Yep.
and I have full on. I have quarantine hair. I have quarantine beard. It's probably when it's very fascinating, but it's like the first one I did. You can see how much like I've changed in terms of like location
Yeah.
and hair and beard. It's very fascinating.
You let me know if you need to revamp that intro. We'll add some music to it. We'll add some visuals. We'll make sure we suit it up for you. You let me know. We got to keep the ball rolling. I think the thing that I enjoy about podcasting is like is the creative side of it, like whether you have like a cool intro or like a cool logo or something like that. Like it all plays into like the puzzle pieces that combine to be your podcast. Like the whole transition that I went through from having a podcast network to just one show, which is this show. I went from having so much different shows, it just became an overload, too much on my plate. I was scheduling different shows left and right when I could just be focusing on one show. Like it's kind of like the Joe Rogan platform esque. You're just having one show and you're just talking to people. But obviously, I have like different elements that I want to include, which I want to talk to you about. Maybe you can come back on the show and we can do the top 8 with Nate. That's a segment here on the network here, and we can do top 8 hockey players of all time. How about that?
That'd be kind of fun to do,
Yeah.
and we cannot just do sports. I've been getting a lot into music and of course movies. I that's kind of my like secondary and tertiary topics I love to talk about,
Of course, yeah.
and
Films are great.
you can do like again what if timeline boxes to 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 uh to see what would happen. For example, did you know Heath Ledger was not, I don't know if he was the first choice for the Joker or second choice, but um there's rumored that Steve Carell before Office fame was supposed to be the like rumored to be the Joker.
In the Christopher Nolan films?
Yeah.
Whoa. That I wonder if he ever touched a script. That a script, if that is possible, or he touched a script, then I'd be grinning at that a lot. Like, oh, okay, all right, that sounds really interesting. Lastly, here, just to bring up the topic before we close this podcast out, and it's kind of like a thing that I want to improve on going forward, and I just want to get your opinion on it. You know, just this perspective of networking. I think the one thing that I lack when it comes to podcasting is the networking. Like, especially right now, where like beforehand, I would be out and about, you know, working. So I'd meet people and I'd introduce myself and say, hey, I have a podcast, and would you like to be a guest on my show? And now it's harder because, well, I think it's harder, but I in reality, I know it should be a lot easier to reach out to people on social media, put a nice little letter together, say, hey, I have a podcast. Would you be willing to, you know, sit with me for 30 minutes to 25 minutes for a Zoom questioning, you know, or just to be on my podcast, you know, like in reality, in my head, it seems so easy, but you know, like I'm still not so good at the networking, but it took me a while to, you know, even reach out to Lorena or Aaron and even yourself, you know, like I have that kind of like self-doubt that, you know, comes into play, but, and also the fact on the other side of networking where you're trying to like push out the podcast. Like for me, like when I upload a podcast, I just let it sit there for a little bit. Like I don't like go straight to like promoting it right away. Cause like that's the side of it that I don't like the promotion side of it, you know, like I don't like jamming it down people's throats, but then I, you know, I talked myself down a little bit and I said, hey, you know what, when you're just putting it out there, it's not so bad, you know, put it out there once on each platform that you have. And if people want to listen, then let them listen, you know?
Yeah, when I was continually making episodes for my podcast, I would set a day, like you can do it either a couple days before, the day of, and a couple days after, just as like a fun cycle. But then I made like this one like sheet of screenshot and just typed up like just basic stuff, and I can just stick it on there.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's harder now since we live in a post George Floyd incident world right now, because everything you look on, let's say Twitter or Instagram, it's just a lot of Black Lives Matter movement stuff, which is great. I'll give them that.
Yeah, it's important. It's what needs to be out there
But
right
also you come with fear of like getting like shot down. It's like, why are you posting this time? Or that's hard. And
yeah, I get that aspect of it. At the same time, you know, I think that's also kind of like weighing on me a little bit more, because it's like I'm trying to do my part as a person who has type 1 diabetes. I would love to be out there protesting, but you know, I'm still anxious and overwhelmed with this coronavirus. So I want to use my platform in podcasting to talk about my feelings about this. And if my supporters are supportive of it, then so be it. I'm surrounding myself with the right crowd, you know, like people who are not racist. And that's kind of what I think we slowly need to get to, and is just weeding out the people who are disrespectful towards the Black community. And it's obviously it's a fight that, you know, it has to get a little bit messy now, because, you know, we've been so patient, you know. Obviously we have Colin Kaepernick, who did it the right way and people criticized him, but it's different now. It's definitely different now. But I think that shouldn't hold us back from putting out our content.
Exactly.
I think that should be okay, as long as you're using your platform, maybe every episode, to at least bring up one thing that would help spread awareness for the Black community, to help them out. Like that would be probably something, like maybe in the beginning of this episode, when I record my intro, I've got some Amazon promotion that I need to do, but also, you know what? I want to try to support Black communities and Black small businesses. I'm going to say, hey, if you guys want to submit your business for a shout out, I'm willing to do that on a podcast. This is my platform. I want to help the Black community and Black small businesses, grow. That's all I can do. Is, I think there's a little bit of added pressure to people who, are just allies, and we want to help. We're just scrambling to see what we can do to help.
Yes, and we can have a whole podcast about this,
Yeah.
about what is really happening right now in our world. And I believe, in terms of promotion, to get back to that, it's having a consistent schedule of how you want to do it, because you can entertain ideas, but it's all on you. You're the one that has that final tweet
Yeah.
or final post. But we'll use our platforms to better people, and I'm still finding ways when I come back to how to promote that.
Yeah.
And it's just excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
it's just all sorts of craziness, and it's what a wonderful world.
Yeah, man. And you know what? I'm a little shocked with myself, because tomorrow's another Barcelona game, and I'm gonna find a way to watch it. It's Friday. I'm gonna find a way to watch it, because I'm surprised I have not seen any soccer games. There's been 2 Barcelona games so far, and I've managed to watch German league for some reason. I've watched Borussia Dortmund one time already, because I know I'm going to get emotional. Just the fact that I'm watching one of my favorite sports ever, being played again, watching the greatest soccer player of all time, do his magic. And I'm already laughing because Cristiano Ronaldo didn't even win the Italian league, the Italian Copa. He's sad. It's all right. It's all right. We all know who the greatest soccer player of all time is. Cristiano Ronaldo. It's okay being second sometimes. Hopefully we get, some sports back. Obviously the Kings were not in a position to make any type of run for
no, we're not. I immediately, before recording a video this year, I'm just like, we're already at acceptance of the 7 stages of grief.
Yeah.
And we did a big jump from denial to, okay, this is who we are. And
yeah.
I don't want to get into them, because that's another video like
that you're right.
And I go into one of my podcasts that's like, what went wrong since 2014, and you can see how did we F up. And I'm like, okay, we traded away that guy. I'm like, it's also, I think, delusion, wanting to keep the band together, and another thing, and that is just bad luck. You have to have a lot of luck in hockey, and it's just fascinating.
Can we just be happy to acknowledge that? I mean, I wish this was, switched around, but I wish it was Los Angeles in 6th, Anaheim in 7th, and San Jose in 8th, but it's Anaheim in 6th, Los Angeles in 7th, and San Jose in 8th. But I do want to acknowledge that San Jose Sharks aren't below the Kings. So that's just something that I like to spit right there.
I do want to acknowledge that. And I remember in March when they were on a 7-game tear after that final win.
I see that.
And I'm like, oh, I really want to get a top 5 pick, because this draft class is supposed to be legit. The top winger is a generational talent. The top center is a number 1 center that could slide in with Turcotte in the not too distant future to ease Kopitar's load. Or the top D-man can ease Doughty's load. We have the best farm system in the league.
Yeah.
And according to The Athletic, which is a great website, it's just the building blocks that certain teams take years to do.
Yeah.
We pulled I felt like we were Aaron Rodgers just throwing audibles and everything has clicked right now.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's been a minute since I've been to an LA Kings game. The last Ontario Reign game I went to was October 26th, 2019, my birthday. That's for that went for my birthday. A good friend of the podcast network, she took me and my cousin along with her boyfriend to go see the Ontario Reign, which was fun. But I get it. I get what you're saying. You know, sometimes it's okay to tank just a little bit just to get that draft pick. I know I was a little bit worried for the Washington Redskins to, you know, towards the end of the season to be mixed up with the top 5. But
Yeah.
I'm thankful that we got number 2, because now the Washington Redskins defense looks like it's going to be one to be reckoned with for quite some time.
Yeah, I've been to Rain. I went to a Rain game this past year, and it's been fun. It was fun, even though they got shelled.
Oh, by who? Who'd you see them?
I think it was the Barracuda.
Oh, okay. I saw a good one because this one was great because it was on my birthday, and it was Rain versus the Gulls, which is basically
The Ducks.
Ducks and Kings.
I've been to Sandy, where the Gulls play.
Uh-huh.
It's where I think the Clippers used to play back in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
It's a quaint little arena. You can
Did someone say Clippers? What? Did someone say Clippers? What? Someone say Clippers?
Right.
Yeah. What's up, Reed? Well, Reed, I mean,
we can have a whole nother topic on just going into your love of football and my other sports.
Yeah.
And I know you're cap strapped with time, so.
No, yeah, man. I'm thankful for you to stop by and have this chit chat. Well, I'll definitely have you on. We'll talk more once. Now that I know that we can do top 8 NHL players of all time, I'm gonna start working on that list. And once my list is done, it's a matter of just scheduling that podcast with you.
Also, and once things heat up, probably in late July, early August, we can react to the games and see how.
Of course.
Possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
So we're stuck at home.
And you're gonna keep it up with the podcast. Your Kings podcast. You're gonna push forward. At least put an audio version. You know, you're not really like forced to put out a video version where you can just do some tidbits. You know.
I'm taking a break.
Okay.
Just that's for at least a couple more weeks, and probably ramping things back up in July.
Okay, there it is then. If people want to go ahead and give you a follow on the socials, you know, where would you want to send them?
Twitter is at the Moon Shooter, or not at the Moon Shooter. So TheMoon Shooter, and then Instagram is Bringer of Heat, BINGROF Heat, and those are the best ways of personal Twitter.
Yeah.
And personal Instagram, and then I have the podcast. No podcast Instagram, but podcast Twitter at that's no apostrophe _ Kings.
There it is.
But you can catch the audio podcast on all of your favorite podcatchers: Apple, Stitcher, Google, Spotify. You get the drill. Everything, but not everything except SoundCloud.
Why not SoundCloud?
I haven't used it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, what do you what do you feed your main source for the?
So like a couple of your other guests, I feed it through Buzzsprout, and it's a tree. It's basically you send it to one area
and it branches out.
It trickles down.
Okay. So that's how I have mine set up, but mine is you put it into SoundCloud and it branches out to everything else. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, everyone, feel free to follow Reed on all of his platforms, and, you know, stay tuned for more of his Kings talk. You know, I see him as a nice little voice of the Los Angeles Kings future. So stay tuned. And Reed, thank you for stopping by. I know we'll tune into another podcast pretty soon.
Well, yeah. Thanks, Nate, for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, man. All right. I'll catch you later.
Ciao.